On today's episode of The Finish Line, I'm joined by the legendary Richmond Webb, the Triple OG Mr. BallGame, and we will discuss, we've already seen Javon Holland. Are players starting to, have they already started, or will they start to go into business for themselves with not much left to play for this season? Could the Miami Dolphins lose Calais Campbell as quickly as next week if they fall to the 49ers this weekend? Should McDaniel be playing the younger Bucks right now instead of the old grizzled vets to see what he's got in certain people like Patrick Paul? We will discuss all of this and so much more on today's episode. Plus, McDaniel addresses job security. Let's talk about it all. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field on the near side, man open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again! Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. Gentlemen, yet again, when they are staring down the barrel at getting back to 500, they cannot play complimentary football in all three phases. And once again, we're meeting here after a loss in a critical game. Richmond, how you feeling? You ready to keep picking the Dolphins to win every game for the rest of the season? Or
Man, you know what? I root for them. Reason, but it's definitely something not right. But it was good to, the Dolphins travel well. Met a lot of people from the Dolphins fan club in Mexico. Went to two events on Saturday, and I think my highlight was just interacting with the fans and, how passionate they are about the Dolphins and, interacting with them. And we even kind of talked about it last week on the show. Is this a winnable game? We all felt it was, but, we had to play good in all phases. And it seems like one week the offense shows up, the next week the defense, and we can't put it together. And like you said, you get this close to 500 and then, you take another step back. And I think the thing that's frustrating is, you're in a situation where you got to win out almost to put yourself in a position to try to make the playoffs, and then it's just something that's missing, and that's not right. And I know if I see it, fans can see it, and it's not a secret. But I think the thing is, how do you fix it, this and that? And it might not be fixed till the off season. It's definitely something going on that's not right, or like you said, guys, we'll talk about it, but it's just, I think it's a little frustrating for me, but I'm still rooting for them. I cut out the picks, I root for them, but I had to bring it down a little bit. I don't need to be that upset when they don't. If they was leaving it on the field, I felt like, that there would be a little bit easier, but I mean, I root for them, but I just know it's something not right. And I know if I know, it's a lot of other people not know. But other than that, looking forward to the college football playoffs starting this weekend, and also, the holidays coming up. So looking forward to spending time with family and that. But other than that, I'm good. How you doing, Mr. BallGame?
I'm great because I'm not emotionally tied to this team right now. So I can watch them. Truly, it's been a minute, but I can watch objectively and see exactly kind of some things that need to be addressed without being in my fan mode about it. Right? I mean, we talk about all sorts of different things throughout the year, but the one thing that's more prevalent for me is the fact that they just can't put together, 64 minutes. They can't, in all three phases, work together, right, to finish a game, start a game strong, finish a game strong. And you're not going to win many games if you can't put those three things together and have them all consecutively working together towards the same common goal. What I saw on Sunday, for me, was much more of the same in regards to, I saw a team that was a little more willing to be physical. I was sitting there watching the game with my sons, and I kept saying to myself, I kept telling Isaiah, I was like, hey, these motherfuckers hitting. These Texans are hitting. Like, they are coming down and laying the wood. And then I think, really and truthfully, unfortunately, thank God he's okay. When Dubose got knocked out the game, you know what I'm saying? That it was over after that for me. I knew then at that point that game was a wrap. Right? Ain't nobody trying to go back over the middle. Ain't nobody trying to be actively engaged in any of the stuff. And even that hit that Jonnu took for the fourth down, that they went for it on 4th and 4, and they got the first down. He got stuck by Lassiter. You can see his body language too. He was looking around like, man, what just hit me, type of thing. So when you got guys questioning the physicality of the game, knowing that they're playing a contact sport, you got a lot of issues that need to be addressed. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it, I feel, still stems from mentality from up top, right? If you soft at the top, you can't get guys down at the bottom. Now, there are some dogs on this team. I'm not going to disrespect Calais, and I'm not going to disrespect Zach Sealer. You know what I'm saying? Jordan Brooks. Hell, even Jalen showed up a little bit more physical last Sunday, but you know what I'm saying? Large part, no, we're not tough in the right spaces, and you can't win this time of year, and you can't do a lot of things successful if you're not willing to be physical first. And that run game that establishes that, all those things. But we can talk about it as we go throughout the evening. But I'm okay because I can objectively look at where we're lacking and have our conversations out to the side, and you know what I'm saying, and we talk about it while the game's going on. We send messages back and forth, but all in all, I don't think people that really and truly, without having a football eye, understand how messed up, how athletically gifted this team is, but how out of sync they are. And it's unfortunate because it's the third season, and at this point now, everything from Mike's supposed to be gelling, and it's not. So,
Richmond, you were there like live. I don't know if you're on the sideline or whatever, but I mean, this is 2 straight games as well against good opponents in Houston and Green Bay, where the offensive line allowed the most sacks and most pressures it had all season against Green Bay, 16 pressures, as well as 5 sacks. And then we allowed 13 pressures and 3 sacks against Houston. How many times and for how long since Flores was here, Richmond, we've been talking about on this show about how games are won and lost in the trenches. Your assessment from being there live and what you've seen, because what BallGame was kind of alluding to, and he didn't go full depth in there, but you could see what he was alluding to was, the way this roster is constructed. We've built from the outside in instead of inside out. Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts on, now that you're year 3 into this McDaniel into this McDaniel regime? You've seen a lot of the same cast of characters around since Flores was here. What are your thoughts right here? Because where I'm at, Richmond, is, whoever said, hey, Eichenberg's good enough to replace Hunt, to stand in for Hunt, and whoever said, yeah, Robert Jones is a good enough contingency plan for Isaiah Wynn, who we've now found out that they knew had a setback in rehab and wasn't going to be back till at least midway through the season. What are your thoughts on where this offensive line is at? Because you can't win with this.
No, you can't. And I talked about it when we were doing the picks early in the season, and I wasn't so much concerned the first half of the season, but I know it's a shift after you get to the second part of it. You got to be able to play physical at times, and you got to be able to run the football. And like you said, to let a guy, a Pro Bowl, All-Pro right guard go, and then replace him if you're gonna replace him with a guy, I'm not saying he's got to make All-Pro the first year or Pro Bowl, but he should be ascending. You know what I'm saying, in the area to where it might be a drop off, but hopefully not a huge drop off. And it's only because he's gaining experience. But when you have a combination with Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson, the way that they were playing, I look at that and say, man, if you can solidify that side, because I have to flip it because Tua is a left-handed quarterback. And so I'm saying this is really his blind side. So if you solidify that, the other side, you can kind of see it coming at him. And that's a tough thing. But then I think on Sunday what I saw was I love the effort I see from Patrick Paul, the rookie, this and that. I think he's going to be all right if he continues to work the way he works. But you got your right tackle out. You got your left tackle out. You got your starting left guard. It's just you can only pass so many times until it's some deficiencies show up, and you can't have that many of your starters out, and it doesn't want to take effect unless you've got really good depth at different positions. And I don't think we got depth, but not good quality. I think playing on the road and playing against a physical team, I think I already knew the Texans were going to come and play because they're kind of a similar situation. They're already in the playoffs, but they had started to slide this and that, and they're not playing like they were the first half of the season. So they're trying to get back on track. But I knew we were going to get their best effort, and that's what we got. But it wasn't hard to see. We got whooped in the trenches.
See, my thing is, though, like, if you would have built the starting five, but your depth was still an issue, okay, at least we could lean on the fact that you properly built the starting five. They didn't even build like, let's be honest, the only starters they have in the building are Austin Jackson, Aaron Brewer, and Teron Armstead. That's it. Like, those are the only legitimate. And I could sit here and make the argument, is Robert Jones even a quality backup? Like, he's a 3 or a 4. Is Eichenberg even a quality backup? He's probably a 3 or 4. And these are guys you're asking to start.
Right.
Like, your only quality backup is Kendall Lamb and a rookie and Patrick Paul, and they're both tackles. They're not guards.
Yeah.
You walk, and I know he got claimed by someone else, but even he wasn't good.
It's the arrogance.
But you know what? Now, I think the thing that's different now than when I played is, even for somebody who's not real savvy or real knowledgeable, PFF puts out all the grades on every position. So somebody posted it Sunday after the game, and you look at the grades and you be like, Steve Wonder can see that a lot of the grades weren't good for some of the guys. And I'm like, it's showing up. So it's like what you're seeing with your eyes is being confirmed by what you're reading, if you're reading that grade sheet by PFF. So it's just
right.
It is what it is. You can't hide it. You can say whatever you want to in the press conferences or whatever. But like we used to say all the time, the eye in the sky don't lie. That film not gonna lie. If you're watching it and you go through it and you review it, you're gonna find the holes in this and that, and it's not hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, this is talk brass tacks, man. Hey, they lying, bro. They think to themselves when they go into these meetings and they go and they talk behind the scenes, and they say, "Oh, we got the guys that can get it done." That's a lie. Anybody with any common sense that actually has any basic understanding of football knows that this offensive line that we have in the Miami Dolphins is not an NFL caliber line from all 5 positions. And even though you took a swing into the dark, I mean, you took a swing on, that's what you really did. You took a swing on, but you missed because you still didn't get more games played with him. Armstead, he tried there, but even then, you know what I'm saying, the fact that you allowed, because I'm going to go back to this, you allowed a guy that you selected that was with you for 4 years to leave and go somewhere else and be an all-pro. It's crazy to me. Like,
yeah, but you didn't have I get not wanting to pay $20 million to the guy, but you didn't even have a contingency plan in place.
Yeah.
That's the point. Your contingency plan was freaking Liam Eichenberg.
But the problem is that they knew and we know he was worth it. Like, make the real investments. If you really, truly want your quarterback to be the best version of himself, make the right investments. And they didn't. And now he has to suffer because this league is all about the wins are associated with the freaking quarterback. And I hate that crap. Because football is always going to be a team sport. And so to blame Tua for the inefficiencies of the guys whose responsibility is to protect him, that's a bogus place that you put this kid in, right? Or this young man at this point, because he's a grown man now with a family. That's bogus. I wouldn't want that for anyone. Like, you got to look at the true essence of what they've done. They've created a problem that they could have fixed easily. Instead, you went out and you got the Lamborghinis and you got the Ferraris and you got all these things, but you still didn't put your Mack trucks on this. You still don't have your Mack trucks together.
The problem is, though, it's not just pass pro. It's you can't run the football.
That part.
You had 39 yards against Green Bay. You had 44 against the Jets, and on 19 carries, you had 54 this week against the Houston Texans. You're averaging like under 2.5 yards per carry. You went from averaging, we were number one in the league in number one or number two last year in yards per carry, and now we're like 31st.
Yeah,
but the reason, if you go back, I mean, you said it before, and a couple of years ago when Wilkins was up, when Robert Hunt was up, sign some of these guys, don't let them play out their contract. And
yeah,
when a player shows you enough to where you say, okay, this guy is somebody we need to keep, they should have signed him. And that way it helps with the salary cap, but you shouldn't let all the really good core guys expire. And you said that several times on the show. So it's like,
well, what's been my biggest knock with him, the fact that he can draft these guys, but the scouting department and the financial department can't come together and project their developmental trajectory as well as the market's trajectory and meet. And I mean, you go back to 2 years ago, they approached Robert Hunt like 2 off seasons ago, not this off season, but the off season before. They approached Robert Hunt. He wanted 12 to 14 million in about June, July. They talked to him. They said no. Came back in October and they said, okay, well, we're willing to talk about this 12 to 14. And they did the same thing with Wilkins over the 22, 24 million. Did the same thing. Said October, come back around and say, okay, we're willing to talk. And what did both players and their agents say? Now, I know Wilkins wanted to cut a deal in the agency if athletes first stepped in more, but what did the players like Robert Hunt and his agent say? We're 8 weeks into the season. We're about to be a free agent this offseason. We're just going to play the year out. If you would have shown us this grace in June or July, yes, if you can get out ahead of a contract a year or an off season or 2 off seasons before they're going to hit. What does it show them? See, this is what doesn't get enough. This is why guys will sign for cheaper money, even though they know the market's probably going to blow up.
Right.
Because you're showing not only good faith in them, but you're giving them protection if they get injured. If they get injured, you're saying, okay, I'm still getting paid really well. You giving me some kind of injury protection. All these guys saw what you just did to Connor Williams. They all just saw Connor wanted to be one of the top paid centers. You balked at it, and he got an injury that basically ruined the rest of his career, and he's out of the league now. They all saw this. So they all wanted a little security. You're showing faith and security.
Which is nothing wrong with them.
Nothing wrong with that at all, because they're putting their body on the line for you. And these are guys who you've drafted and have earned the right to be paid.
Right.
And then on top of this, what are you doing? You don't have a replacement in place for Robert Hunt. You don't have a replacement in place for certain guys. You know why? Because you're going out and trading assets for Ramsey, for Tyreek, for Hunt, and then you were turning around and doing what Bill Parcells never do, never double dip, never trade draft capital and then have to give contracts. You trade draft capital for guys already on contracts.
Right.
But what did we do? We gave up first, second, third for these players I've named, and we gave them big time paychecks. And Chubb got big money. Tyreek's one of the top paid at his position, and Ramsey's one of the top paid at his position. Right. So, it's one thing if you would have got those guys without giving up the draft capital and paid them that money. That's one thing. But you're not able to supplement certain positions, and now the depth issues are so glaring because you were in a position where you got to hit on all your picks if you're going to trade all these assets away. Channing Tindall. Oh, Jordan Brooks is the only. Anthony Walker seems like he fell off the cliff when David Long. Yeah, when David Long walked out the door, he's like, I got the job down, Pat. We're good. Yep. And he doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? Kendall Fuller's battled 2 concussions. What do I really expect from him this year? The safety room is a mess, and we'll get into why a little bit later on. But some of your signings weren't even performing. Marcus May was a joke. Leaves here, goes make a pick in the end zone for the new team he signs with. David Long leaves, has a huge fumble recovery for the team he signs with. Like, it's one thing after another, man. I don't know what to say.
My thing is always centered around, like, when they started this whole process and we drafted Tua, the focus should have shifted right then at that point to nothing but getting the best 5 to 7 guys that we could for that offensive line.
Dude,
Waddle was already a 100 plus catch year guy even as a rookie, so that didn't even matter. You know what I mean? You can find another guy to complement it.
Okay, you don't have to go that. Look at his draft class. Look at his draft class.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts inherited one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, but they've continued to stabilize it. They've drafted guys like Landon Dickerson because they've had to make hard decisions and let guys walk. But when they've had to make hard decisions between the trenches on the defensive line or the offensive line, they always pick offense, right? Number one. Joe Burrow. Look at the money and the resources Cincinnati spent trying to build an offensive line for the guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Justin Herbert. They just drafted Joe Alt. They drafted Slater. They drafted Slater. Who was the
center
I wanted? Remember the center I wanted? He's
I know you're talking about.
I think. I know you're talking about. Green Bay. The one from Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, they spend money. They got him, right? Jordan Love, Green Bay, whether it's Favre, Rodgers, whoever, they've never ever not spent on the offensive line, right? They'll spend more on the offensive line than wide receivers, and that's why Packers fans complain, right?
Yep.
So, you see where I'm going here? You can go to the top 5 of the 2020 class.
Well, look at Kansas City. Yeah,
I know. They went. They learned their lesson in the Bucs loss, and what have they done since then?
Beat that old line up. That's what they did. Yeah.
Right? They learned their lesson. And what's crazy is they learned their lesson against the Bucs ball game, but injuries put them in that position. They actually didn't build it to be that back, right? And they tried to get out ahead of guys. They drafted Abraham Lucas, I believe, in 2020. No, not Abraham Lucas. Lucas Niang. They tried to draft him in 2020 to get ahead of Schwartz, right? But then what have they done? They spent money on Orlando Brown, right? When they learned against the Bucs, when all those guys felt, and then we had one healthy starter. They drafted
all of them. Yeah.
So. Yeah, we traded up to draft Eichenberg, a couple picks in front of Creed Humphrey. Unbelievable. See, when you do stuff like that, you got to get it right.
Yeah.
You got to get it right. Stuff like that, man.
Yeah. You got to move up and give capital. You got to hit on the pick.
Yeah. Well, center here's been a carousel. Connor worked, but he got hurt. Aaron Brewer's working, but I feel bad for Aaron Brewer. You know how much better Aaron Brewer could be right now
if he had 2 competent guys. Right? Yeah. I agree, 100%. He struggles, man. I mean, he struggles because they struggle, and that's unfortunate because
you know what it feels like for Aaron Brewer? Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. That's what it feels like with Aaron Brewer, bro. Right now, I feel bad for the guy.
Exactly.
He's undersized already. Is he being asked to elevate 2 guys who aren't even quality backups?
Yeah. Priority number 1, regardless of anything they do in the offseason, I don't give a shit about nothing else. They got to find 2 quality guards, man. Grab one in the first round pick. First round pick has to be a guard.
First or second.
First or second has to be a guard, and then you go pay for a guy. Like, I don't give a shit what he asking for, but you got to solidify this O-line, because if you can't run the ball, it doesn't matter how many. You're not gonna always be playing in Miami, so you ain't gonna be able to, be able to just get out there and just throw the ball around 40, 50 times, which is not what we want Tua doing anyway. But you're gonna have to be able to run the damn ball. So you gotta get some guys with that type of mentality about them. Like, hey man, you put me out here, we just gonna.
Bro, how you gonna win on the road in these cold weather teams, bro? You gotta run the ball, bro.
Yeah,
and you gotta stop the run.
Right.
So, because this is where I'm at. I would not be mad if the first 2 picks were trench picks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
you have to draft for necessity, and we need solid offensive line play more than anything. I believe without a shadow of a doubt that you can forego some parts. You can get picks and kids later in the draft to solidify the secondary. Or hell, you can even go into free agency, because there's gonna be a lot of free agents that are gonna be moving around to give him what he needs on defense. But when you're talking about offensive line play, the 5 guys that never leave the field unless somebody's injured, that have to do every single play, you need pedigree. Top level pedigree.
I talked about Mekhi Becton a couple days ago on the show, Daniel. The first person who's brought him up to me was EM Dolphin fan. I brought him up on the show a couple days ago. I know apparently he was on Kyle Krabs. Kyle Krabs had mentioned him on the show. I'd already brought him up on the show. Mekhi Becton's playing a left guard right now. And he's playing really good for Philly.
Yep.
So, and he's a free agent. He's only on a 1-year deal. He only has he only signed for like $3 million. $4 million.
It won't be that contract long, because they're gonna pay him.
But here's the thing: he could maybe get a boost to 8 to 10 million. I won't even say Greer. Our management would probably be more inclined to pay that than, you look at Trey Smith is probably going to want like 18 to 20 million from Kansas City. So I don't see them paying top dollar to like Trey Smith from Kansas City.
Becton is a huge man.
He's a big man. Imagine if you could convince imagine if you could convince Armstead to come back for another year. Or if not, Patrick Paul next to Mekhi Becton. Holy jeez.
6'8".
Yeah. And he moved like he's 6'3".
They're 6'8". Yeah, Richmond. Them jokers humongous,
he's
bro.
6'8"?
6'8".
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in the 2020 draft.
And he moves.
I was a Tristan Wirth guy, and EM Dolphin fan was a huge Mekhi Becton guy. Yeah. Becton's been hurt. Like, when he was with the Jets, his
conditioning was bad there, too.
Yeah, his conditioning, and he was hurt all the time. But now he's playing with the Eagles. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles, and
he's playing lights out. Yeah.
Yeah. The Jets released him, and he's killing it. I love it. Oh, my God. But again, if you were to sign Becton, history tells us you need to have a damn good contingency plan, because he gets hurt. Right?
Yeah.
He gets hurt. So
hope Armstead just go ahead and fade the black, bro. Just fade the black. Give us our money back. It's okay.
Listen,
he tried.
I don't know why you're talking about the offensive line right now, guys. Because
I think you guys are probably more worried than we are. In terms of, at the position depth at those spots you talked about.
Yeah, he's a jackass. We know that.
All right. Before we continue on here, I have got a new sponsor to the channel, and it's someone and something that I think all of you will really appreciate. So let's shout out the new sponsor, the Wash Foundation. Hygiene-related illness is among the top 2 causes of childhood mortality worldwide. Approximately 3,600 children under the age of 5 die every day due to respiratory infections and other diseases that are preventable due to just not having access to clean water, proper sanitation, and adequate hygiene. Morbidity rates can be reduced by 50% or more if they have access to these things. In fact, studies show that hand washing with soap and water is the single most effective way to prevent hygiene-related deaths. across the U.S. in homeless shelters and homeless populations. And after natural disasters like hurricanes, flooding, wildfires, and earthquakes, people need hygiene products to stay healthy. The Wash Foundation has given 80,000 showers to those experiencing homelessness to put them on the to put them on the path from homelessness to be homed. Fresh Start Wash and Wellness mobile hygiene units. 87 million bars of soap distributed to families in 127 countries is what the Wash Foundation has been a part of. They've served 5 million refugees, supported over 17 million people worldwide, 6 million hygiene kits distributed, reduced child death rate by more than 60% worldwide.
Nice.
Donate to the Wash Foundation at thewashfoundation.org/donate to support any of their programs, or follow the link in the description below. And make sure you click that link in the description below. Shout out to the Wash Foundation and the great things they are doing worldwide. So let's get into this. Are my Miami Dolphin players going into business for themselves already? And should we be worried moving forward that players are going to go into business for themselves? And let's start off, Javon Holland. I mean, you watch this guy's play. He wants 90% of the time, he wants no part of the physical aspect of the game. Go even deeper than that. OBJ seems to have made a business decision because he wanted out, right? He wanted, get me out of here. I don't like my role. I want out. Bradley Chubb. Is Bradley Chubb going to make a business decision about himself and say, hey, what's the point of me coming back? And you got to worry about a guy like Tyreek going into business for himself right now. What are your thoughts? We'll start with you, Richmond. I mean, I'm sure you've been around players that even you've noticed have gone into business for themselves. I think Poyer's gone into business for himself. I think it started a while ago when he let I don't know if you remember the second Bills game where Josh Allen had that 21-yard run and Jordan Poyer pulled up on him and let him run in. It actually ended up being negated and called back. A couple of those safeties clearly have gone into business for themselves right now. What are your thoughts on this question and this subject?
Yeah, that even happened even when I played. I think the thing, if you're gonna go into business for yourself, you want to get the bag first. And a lot of these guys are up for contracts. And I guess the way I look at it is, even if you don't want to be here or whatever, you still need to put some good quality play on film, because if you don't sign with the Dolphins, it's 31 other teams that you possibly can sign for. But the first thing they're gonna do is look at it. They can see how you played a couple of years ago, where you played at this level, and now it's been a huge drop off. And so now you're making it harder, I think, with negotiations, because now your agent's got to come up to, well, he hadn't been the same player that he was, a year ago, 2 years ago. Why should we give him all this money? So you can actually, do more damage to yourself trying to go into business for yourself. But if you already got the bag, that's a different story. But I think for me, that would be hard, because, just the respect I got for teammates and these guys you're supposed to lay it on the line for, week in, week out, and this and that. But you can always tell when a guy makes a business decision, especially when you've seen him play at a certain level and doesn't play at that certain level. And you say, hey, man, some guys check out. So it ain't nothing new. But when they check out, then it makes it tougher to want to go to war with them. And I think if players can see that, then the management needs to see that. Don't reward guys with huge lucrative contracts and they didn't lay it on the line for you when it was time. So I think that's the thing. You got to make a decision. I think you got to be firm with everybody. It's got to be a certain standard that says, this is what we're looking at. We're the Miami Dolphins. This is our expectations. We expect to do this, this, and that. And, I think it's just got to be firmed up all the way across the board. The expectations got to be what the expectations are. And that's not, we're not meeting them now. And until we do that, it's easier for guys to check out, because if don't nobody call you out about it, it's what you're gonna do. You're gonna just say, okay, well, I just play it out. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Ain't no big deal. I just go out here and just, try not to get hurt or whatever. But Yeah, I've never been a fan of that. I mean, it happened even when I played. I'm not gonna call no names out, nothing like that. But you got to deal with yourself consciously, and I've even seen a couple of examples, even in the last couple of weeks, where I call it guys quitting on their team for whatever reason, this and that, and that's just not cool. It's just not a good look to me. So I'm not a big fan or component of that at all at any point.
What are your thoughts, BallGame?
Well, I think you can't change the entire structure of how things go. Like when guys get drafted into the NFL, right? Because those contracts are all based on potential of what they think you can add to the team. But I do believe that in the second or third year, you can start making adjustments and looking at truly what has a guy done for you lately. And you can also evaluate and put systems in place that hold players accountable, just like anybody else that go to work every day, that pay their money to go sit in these stadiums and watch these players. Everybody got to be held accountable, and everybody should be to some degree held accountable for what you do on the field and how well you do it. And it is at the end of the day a job just like any other job. So why should there be, some type of structure in place that holds these cats accountable so you do get your best bang for your buck? The thing for me always resorts back to how much you really want to be a part of something greater than yourself, right? And that's what the team concept is all about. Because there are guys, and I'm not gonna lump them all into a basket, because there are guys on this team that really are true professionals that are just playing this game truly for the love of the game and for what it has done for them and how it's changed their life. And they want to give back to, in some form and fashion, to the fans, to themselves, to their families, even, they got their own reason. But then there are some, like Holland. I'm a little disappointed in Javon Holland, to be honest with you, bro, because I always did speak highly of him. Thought he was gonna be the future for us, but I don't know now, because at the end of the day, he's turned out to be someone that I don't recognize, right? Like he's a real shell of himself, and that's not what I anticipated him to be for us. So it does bring into question sometimes what is your real desires, and and how committed you are really to being the best safety in the league that you proclaimed to be at one point, that you wanted to be, and all those things that he talked about as a youngster or the rookie in the first and second year coming out. Those were his aspirations. What happened to all of that? Like, the only person can change any of that is you. Like, I think a lot of these guys, really and truthfully, on this team have to really look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves why they really doing this. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, everybody else has to get up in the morning and look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, I got to make the day the best, make today better than yesterday, because if yesterday was shitty, you don't want to have a shitty day tomorrow. So, regular people got to do it. Why shouldn't NFL players have to do it too? And then you got to put a system in place where we stop coddling these cats, right? It was different in Richmond's era, right? The cats play. I mean, it's been this whole thing with sports altogether, though, bro. When you see it, there's an entitlement that's come across in this huge wave in like the last 12 to 15 years in sports, where they want something for nothing. They feel like just because they made it to that point that they should be entitled to everything that comes along with it, even if they don't put in the effort to get it. And I don't subscribe to that. Life doesn't work like that. And the coach has to be the one that sets that standard as well. Like, you can see, I don't know, man. I hate making comparisons, bro, but there's a difference in the buy-in between what I saw from the Texans, because Bullock, all the guys, that dude was out there laying wood on Sunday, bro, and you can see he was committed to making our players quit if he could. You feel me? Like, him and Lassiter was out there lighting folks up, and that commitment comes from how they respect D'Amico Ryans. You feel me? They know without a shadow of a doubt they can't let him down, and he gonna have their back, right? Regardless of the fact of whatever they did. Like, oh boy, the league suspended the cat that knocked Trevor Lawrence out, but D'Amico stood up for him. Hey, you know what I mean? I teach my class. We play through the whistle. You know what I mean? And that's what you want to know, that your coach got your back, that he gonna hold you accountable, that you're gonna play this game. Because if you play scared and you play half-ass in football, you're gonna get hurt. Simple and plain. I have never seen nobody be able to go out and do it half-ass and not get hurt at some point. So you got to be either all in or stand on the sideline or give it up. It is what it is. And I don't know if I answered your question, but I do believe that a lot of these cats are making business decisions that is affecting their play on the field. hands down. You see a lot of these cats where they could come in there, stick the shoulder in there to hold up the running back so somebody else can come and help them with the tackle. They side to the side, let him get those extra 2 or 3 yards, and then trying to tackle him from the back type of foolishness. I ain't never understood that. If I see you in the hole, I'm gonna meet you in the hole. We gonna dance in the hole. I'm not gonna wait for you to get past me and then I take the chance of missing you and hurting myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. If I got you squared, if I got you dead to rights in the hole, like Jordan Brooks does it. You can see it all the time when Jordan Brooks comes down into the A or B gaps to tackle the running back. They getting tackled. But, you know, you watching Walker sidestep folk trying to catch him from the side or, you know what I mean? Like, no, man. Yeah, I'm not with it, bro. And your safety's got to set the tone in the secondary, too. And we ain't knocked nobody's block off, and God knows how long. So, business decisions all over the place. Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys saw today, but Calais Campbell talked at his locker and talking about business decisions and stuff. And let's discuss this.
You know, weeks back, you know, before the trade deadline and stuff, I mean, there was a small conversation, you know, that you really didn't hope would ever even become a thing, you know, and it was kind of like just something to talk about, nothing like concrete or anything like that. And so, you know, I don't know if we're there just yet, but it's definitely something you think about. So.
You had a chance to maybe go to a contender at the trade deadline. Would you ever operate with any regrets toward maybe not going?
Oh, I'm never living regrets. Never living regrets. I mean, there's no wrong decision. You just make a decision. You rock with it. And you know, in this business, they rarely even involve the player in any decisions, right? You know, I'm just show up and be a professional and go, try to be the best player I can be to help my team win. And I came here to the Dolphins, you know, with a year-long commitment to go out here and compete and try to make the playoffs. You know, and you know that job's technically not done yet. You know, we still have a shot. So, you know, I mean, I'm committed.
Do you have any?
So basically, when he says the Dolphins have a shot, we need the Chargers to lose twice, and we need to win out, and we need the Colts to lose once. Now, Barry Jackson tweeted out whether Calais Campbell will finish the season here is fluid. We'll be here at least as long in playoff contention. If Finn's eliminated, Dolphins releasing him to join a contender is still in play. Your thoughts on that ball game? And let me ask you this, with what he just said about being involved in the decision even at the trade deadline, do you boys think this is something where if we retool and reset and we rebuild, where he would be a guy who would be interested in coming back in the offseason if he does leave for the last couple of weeks of the season? What are your thoughts, BallGame?
Well, I think at this space where he is in his career, that's the best thing that you could do is ask the man kind of where he's feeling and how he sees himself at this juncture and where the season is. I mean, that's just the utmost respect for who he has been as a professional. You got to give him that. So I can appreciate them coming to him and doing that. I also like the fact that he said from the beginning he's committed to trying to get this team to a certain plateau. You know what I'm saying, and certain goal, and that hasn't been taken away from them yet. So he's still looking at that as being what his goal is, and that's just the true professionalism that exudes from this man. So you know, hats off to Calais Campbell for being a true professional, you know what I'm saying, and honoring, you know what I'm saying, what you came here to do, and you know what I'm saying, trying to make sure that this group stays together to achieve that goal. But I also think, yeah, if they get eliminated, then you know the best thing to do for him at that point is to go ahead and let him seek out maybe a spot with somebody that actually has a shot at it, because I think he's been around long enough in this game and has been impactful enough in this game and been a statesman for this game long enough that you give him the respect of being able to go do that and finding a place that he can continue and possibly win one, because he deserves one. I think he deserves to know what a Super Bowl feels like, you know, and to win one. Yeah, and there's you know, appreciate him for the hard effort and the work that he put in as a professional to teach our young guys how to be professionals, and whatever he's given to Chop and to Kamara and all those kids, that's going to be invaluable forever, because when you got a guy around that's been playing at such a high level like him that comes in and is a true professional, he can't help but improve you. So I think as long as they continue to do right by him, right, and give him at least the opportunity to decide for himself. And I believe that's what that's what he's alluding to, that there are conversations that they've had that they're including him in on, so he can make a decision for himself as well. That's how the business is supposed to be done. So I can appreciate that.
What do you think, Richmond?
Yeah, I respect the way he approached the game. You can tell in the way his interviews, he's very professional, and I love, the statement he made about ain't no wrong decision. You make a decision, you be a man, you stand on it. You live by it, and you good with it. And but this this is something new to me. I get it, but if you sign with the team, you was just with the team,
Yeah.
whether it panned out or not. So now this is something new where they just release guys and say, which I can kind of respect if you can catch on with another one, this and that. But it's just new. It just don't feel right, because it'd be like, hey, just to release you so you can go, sign with so and so, and you might have a chance. And I'd be like,
but don't you feel like
no.
OBJ was more so like, we don't want you here, where Calais Campbell's like, you're 38, you don't have much time left in the tank.
It's a totally different feel.
Yeah.
I wasn't grouping those two together. It's just the thought. But yeah, I think Odell was not happy possibly because he wasn't getting the ball, or his role was so diminished, or, he wasn't really making an impact. And I think that's probably why he's probably bounced around the last few years with different teams, is because he hadn't been happy, and he's trying to get back to, that guy that a lot of times when you play those high profile positions, sometimes you crave that attention, and you got to find a way to get it. But you think of early in the season when he was trying to be ready for the season, they put him on IR for that little bit. I'm sure he wasn't happy about that, because in his mind, he's probably saying, well, I can help this team. Then he gets back, and then Smith, the tight end, was having such a good role. They was using him, and so he's gonna eat behind Waddle and Tyreek, and so I can see him being frustrated. Him going to him and say, "Hey, man, y'all need to just go and release me. Let me hook on with somebody else." Where I don't believe those words will ever come out of Calais Campbell's mouth, regardless of you're 1-15 or you're 15-1. He's just an ultimate professional that's going to approach it a business. I signed, I'll give you 110%. Now, once this deal is over, if I decide to make another decision, that's it. But I do like, when somebody is that committed to you, if you can, right or wrong, or say, hey, man, the way you've handled yourself, the way you come to work, the way you put on the line on Sundays, I'll give you an option. If we're out of the playoffs, it's a possibility. Because I know Detroit definitely needs some. They've lost a lot of defensive starters and stuff. So, if you could catch on with a team like that, and he would have more respect for the Dolphins for them even offering to give him an opportunity to do that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I understand it's just so new. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
it just never played, but it's a different league now. But I get it.
Yeah. So Mike McDaniel today, he was asked about his and Chris Greer's job security, and this is what went down.
I know you've got a game coming up. With things not going the way you planned this season, have you thought about your future? Have you thought about Chris Greer's future, whether you'll be here next season? Does that concern you at all right now?
No, I think I'm very comfortable with the realities of the realities within the profession that I've chose. Like, I think the alternative would be to feel entitled. I think it's very much like I don't take for granted getting a team prepared for this week's opponent and this day and those opportunities. And I think you'd ultimately, you know what it is when you sign up for it. And I'm not worried about that in the slightest. I think that would be absolutely selfish and something that I, if I'm worried about that, I'm definitely not worried about the things that I have to offer the players that are playing in a professional football game. So, I think the season hasn't gone the way anybody necessarily had wanted, but that, how often do we say that in life in general? I think my job is not to predict and expect. My job is to adjust and ultimately, if you're gonna fall short in certain ways, then what you do is you make those reasons for improvement as you move forward. But we have enough to worry about with the San Francisco 49ers, and I don't take that lightly. And neither does our team, which is what I expected to walk into today. You never know, but I certainly was met with that type of focus and energy from the football team, which is means that the guys are who I thought they were, and that's where our sole focus is.
Your guys, we haven't had a chance to talk to you guys. What are your guys' thoughts on the job security of Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel after the loss to Houston? Because this is what I'm going to say to you guys. When we were 2-6, I was telling everyone, 2-4, I was telling everyone, do we really think Tua is going to come back and fix the glaring issues we are seeing right now? And that has not been the case. Obviously, he has not fixed all the issues. Gentlemen, the excuse was going to be, we lost our starting quarterback for 4 weeks, but the issue, my friends, is we played Arizona, Buffalo, we've played Green Bay, and we played Houston. And what's the issue been? Either Tua's been on and the defense or special teams don't show up, or the defense is on and Tua and special teams don't show up, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what are you guys thought? Basically, the whole idea that you didn't have your quarterback, that excuse has gone out of the window because you've lost 4 games with Tua back, the teams you should have beat. Well, what are your thoughts here? Where are you at, Richmond? What's your thoughts on the job security of Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel? What Mike McDaniel had to say?
Yeah, I might not say it publicly, but I would definitely be concerned. I think just the way the team has performed, and then the other thing I will have to look at is somebody had to say we need to pay these certain guys, and then you redo all these contracts, and then you're not really getting a return on your investment on the field, and then it's different in front of the media, but when you go in front of the CEO or the owner and he's like, hey, we did everything y'all asked us to do, what's the problem? And you got to be a more direct answer, or you can't say, well, we already know it didn't go the way we expected, but why? And if why, then how do we fix it? And when can I start to see a change or something to give me an inkling that, hey, okay, he can turn it around or he can't turn it around? Or what's your plan for fixing what happened this year? What do we continue on this road, or do I need to get off of the merry-go around? So I don't think I would probably say it publicly, but I definitely, if I was, each one of them, because it's not good, and it was things brought up, like say the offensive line was brought up in training camp, and people asked, and for it to really come to fruition that, hey, you didn't really bring in quality guys to where, at least if you brought in quality guys and everything was rolling, and then they said, okay, yeah, we had 3 or 4 injuries, that's different. But to say, no, we're okay, blah, blah, blah. And then people like, no, we're not okay. And what, the average Joe Blow, not talking about anybody, but just people this is not their profession, and they can see it. So that's a tough thing. So if it was me, I would be a little concerned, just to be honest with you. But I know he's, they're going to say that publicly.
You got to give coach speak, right? Yeah, you got to give that coach speak, right? What are your thoughts, BallGame?
I think everybody needs to be worried and concerned about their job. Mike can't speak for what's going to happen with Grier, but he probably going to wind up catching a little bit of mercy just because of the fact that he's not the one responsible for bringing these guys in. He's not the one, ultimately responsible for who Grier picks and things of that nature. And there's a lot of things that he will catch a lot of leniency for. And that's fine with me, because I still believe that the guy can figure it out, but I just don't know if him trying to do it all at the same time is going to be something that he needs to be doing. You got to figure out how to lead these men, and let somebody else be the OC and all this other stuff. And then I think you can see a shift in the team philosophy and in the team mindset and all these things. And, because it's okay for a coach to want, to be a player coach and know that the guys, you really care about them and things of that nature. But you also got to be that asshole that holds them accountable. So when they come to the sideline and they miss an assignment and they miss several assignments, you don't do it on the first one. But if the guy's consistently doing the same thing over and over again, and you see he ain't, taking to what the coaches are putting into him, now you got to go over there and tighten his ass up. And I just don't see Mike being that type of dude. So he's got to decide whether he got to decide either put the clipboard down or put the clipboard down and then trust somebody else to do that part, so you can just be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, which is okay. That's still a job that brings a lot of responsibility to it. You don't need to be like LaFleur and Shanahan and all them calling their own plays and stuff. Those guys had that other experience previously, so they know how to do that, and they figured out from watching other people how to be head coaches. You trying to do two things at once and don't want to let nothing go. You killing the team with that type of foolishness. So somebody's got to basically address that as well. But yeah, I think Greer's probably on the hot seat more than Mike is at this point, because this the way this roster's been constructed now at this point. Mike might have had some say about who they were targeting, or he would say, "Hey, I can get you this piece. What you think about it?" "Oh yeah, I like that guy. That guy's good." But Greer's the ultimate one, signing them and bringing them in.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shit that lays at his feet more so than Mike, in my opinion.
Richmond, you alluded to, and I played the clip earlier of what Greer said about how, you guys are more worried about the offensive line than we are. Well, did you hear what McDaniel said today? McDaniel said today the Dolphins line of scrimmage has been violated, leading to negative plays.
Yeah.
I mean,
we all
totally
know
contradict? Yeah, but doesn't that totally contradict what y'all sat up here and told me?
Yeah, for sure.
Now you're using the word violated? You're saying grown men are getting violated?
Well, if you watch Liam Eichenberg for like 4 or 5 snaps back to back last week, that one D tackle that
what did we expect from Jackson Carman? Right? Oh yeah. He grabbed him by the throat. Eichenberg, it should have been a penalty.
Yeah.
Eichenberg was grabbed by the throat and just like straight pushed back. Like it was. You just got manhandled. Where do you guys stand with this? I got a good one for you. Where do you guys stand with this? Okay, we need the Chargers to lose twice. We need the Colts to lose once, and we need to win out. Good luck to us. Would you be if Armstead says to you, Richmond, Coach, I'm good to go tomorrow? Would you say I got to see what I got in Patrick Paul the rest of the year before the draft? Yeah. Like what and free agency? What would should we be playing the young bucks right now? Like. And we know what we have in Poyer. Should we just be saying, "Yo, give Patrick McMorris the reps"? Like, what should we be doing right now? Should we be elevating Ethan Bonner and getting him some reps? Because I don't know if the coaching staff likes him. But my whole point is, right now, should the young bucks be getting some more play to see what we got in these kids, and aside from the grizzled young vets, some of which you might be checked out anyways?
Yeah, I think with Armstead, I think if you saying, you're good enough to play, make sure that unless something just drastically happens, that you can start and finish a game. If you truly can't, let the young guy come, because a lot of times it's better to start the game. You already kind of get in the rhythm than, you missed the first quarter and a half, and then it's like, hey, you got to get ready to go. So now you've been standing on the sideline for, 25, 30 minutes. And now you got to try to get loose and go. And that, from what I've been seeing, the more work that Patrick Paul gets, the better you're preparing him to take over that role. And I know Armstead said he's going to, his plan, I thought, was to retire. But a lot of time you reevaluate at the end of the season. So for me, if you can play some of these young guys, especially if it looks like, say we go to half this game going here and everything is spiraling down, put those young guys in there, because if we lose another game, we're pretty much out of it. So at least get those guys some reps and say, hey, we're going to start getting these guys reps, because if this is going to be the future, go ahead and put those guys in there and start letting them get some reps and start working with them, especially Patrick Paul, because I think he can be a really good tackle. You got Austin Jackson on the other side, this and that. And so the more work he gets and more acclimated he's going to be good because he tries to come off the ball. He got some aggressive. Now I've watched him. I like that young kid.
Well, I mean, you're in a week-to-week situation now at this point, so I think you have to play each game as if it's a playoff game, and if you lose the game and you know it's gonna knock you completely out of the situation, then the next week you go ahead and load up with the young balls. You know what I mean? Because at that point, now you need to start looking at draft position. Because if it's over, it's over, and then you really need to get a true evaluation of what you got left. I mean, what you got these youngsters, because they're gonna be the foundation of what you're building on for the future. So. Yeah, get the vets out of the way and let the young boys play, especially if you're out of contention. If we lose to the 49ers this week, that probably pushes us completely out of the bubble, right?
Oh, it's done. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, so if we don't win Sunday,
yeah,
and it is what it is. And now now you run your youth brigade for the rest of the season to see what they do. You go ahead and shut Tua down too. You know what I mean? Ain't no sense of getting him hurt, right? Ain't got nothing else to play for, and then you reevaluate. A lot of other positions need so that you have a true understanding of what you actually have on the roster so that you don't have to necessarily go into the offseason thinking you got something and then it doesn't pan out. You get tape on these guys to see if they can actually play or not so that you can also make better decisions in the draft and whoever or whatever they decide, whether Chris Greer stays or not, then truly, you know what I'm saying, what you got in your youngsters because that's all you got to build off of because, Father Time is ticking on all these cats. Jalen gonna be a year older. Tyreek gonna be a year older. Teron Armstead, you don't know. He's a big question mark on him, but I like I'm with Richmond. I like Patrick Paul now at this point. So go ahead and let the young boy get his burn. You know what I mean? And it once it's over, it's over. Once you get eliminated, you might well just let them play, cause and shut the vast majority of your vets down. If they didn't hit their milestones for whatever their contracts say at this point, then that's on them because they should have played harder. It is what it is. So,
all right, 1 minute each. What do you expect this weekend against San Francisco? Go ahead, Richmond.
I expect a hell of an effort, but I expect a hell of an effort out of the 49ers. I think last time we played them, they kind of handle us, they diffuse us, this and that, and so I think they've had some injuries and stuff, but I think they're gonna come in and try to do a repeat performance. But it shouldn't take long to figure out where we at or how the tone of the game is gonna go. So I'm hoping we come ready to play, and it shouldn't take long to figure out which Dolphin team is gonna show up.
What do you think, BallGame?
I hope Campbell give him his ass a kiss again. So they're down one more linebacker. And they don't have anybody to go in, and it just be a shit show. But you may not get that lucky 2 weeks back to back. Fact of the matter is, I think if they had something else left in them to prove, they would have already shown it to us. I think now at this point, most of these guys are checked out. To be honest. When I see these personnel packages and Tyreek ain't on the field and certain, and some of them and things of that nature, and they're going completely away from your $30 million quarterback, wide receiver to somebody else to pick up the first, that's kind of telling. And that's also let me believe that Tua is in a bad space in his head. I can't trust the guy to get open. Why should I throw it to him type of thing. So they're still working through a lot of issues, man. But I want them to win because I want to see if they can actually gut this thing out. But in the reality, that team over there need a win too, and if physicality is brought to the forefront, we're gonna lose that every time. So,
yeah. Well, I guess Richmond ain't picking us to win this week, huh?
I'm rooting for the Dolphins. That's what I'm saying.
That's not what I asked, brother. That's not what I asked, huh? He throws in the no.
I got my Aquan orange on. I got it on.
Yeah. Oh my God. The fact that I don't know, man. What's been the biggest concern to me about you've had 2 chances to get back to 500 and be in the thick of the playoff race, and in both chances you failed to show up.
Wandered it away.
Ouch. If you can't get up for that, how could I expect you to get up for a playoff game? So guys, do us a favor. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Always a pleasure, gentlemen. I'll be back tomorrow with Neil Driscoll for Fin Too Deep. We're going to talk a little bit regarding the GM position. And then on Friday, we will preview the Dolphins and 49ers. Then I'll be back on Sunday for the live reaction as well as the post-game show. I imagine there will be no finish line next week because next Wednesday is Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
All right. So just a schedule reminder. So, and then hold on a sec. And then there'll be no and then finish line the week after because it'll be New Year's Day. So we'll see y'all in like a month if we even see y'all. All right. Appreciate y'all. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, Fids up all day, every day.